Hey, how's it going, guys? I'm Paradoxic, and welcome back to Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. This time we're on Season 1, Episode 7, titled The Hub, and the last time we were on Fitz, and we had a Chitauri virus being spread through electrostatic shock from from an old Chitauri helmet that was recovered from the Battle of New York by some firefighters, and that was being spread around through touching and through the electrostatic shock. And then the last one to be infected was Gemma. It was Simmons who was infected, and they had no record of a cure. They everything they tried in order to build any kind of cure or anti-serum, as she was so adamant on dubbing it. It didn't work because they had met no one who'd actually survived this virus. They didn't know what kind of person was immune to it except for the Chitauri. So then Fitz had the brave idea smart idea to actually scoop up some of the cells from the inside of the helmet and create an anti-serum from that. And at the last minute it worked, but it was such a great episode overall because it was really, it was super dramatic. It did a good job of actually raising the stakes to the point where you think, wow, Gemma's actually going to die. She actually might just die, because again, this is a show created by Joss Whedon, the guy who pulled off Coulson's death in the first Avengers in the first place, and subsequently pulled off Quicksilver's death in Age of Ultron. Literally, knowing him, there's no telling if the deaths that happened in Infinity War would have been the same as the ones he chose, or if the deaths that happened in Endgame would have been the same as the ones he chose. There's honestly no telling. I mean, it might have been, but there's honestly no telling. But yeah, it was just really dramatic and amped up kind of episode, and Gemma just seeing them trying the cure on that last rat and it's still not working, and then Gemma immediately resorts to asking Coulson to break the news to her father first, because then her mother might take it better from her father. That was heartbreaking to watch, because it's now she knows she herself is just about accepting that she's gonna die, and she knows what the protocol is. I think in that scene, I think the protocol she was talking about was notifying next of kin. The Agent Blake from HQ did say that if they had infected cargo, they had to dump it. So I think Gemma was aware of that as well, and she was getting ready to skydive out the back of the bus into the ocean, and she did, and then Ward jumped out with a parachute and the proper cure at the last minute, and then tased her with it, and she released the shock in midair, and then got back safe and sound to the team. So it was a great episode. It was a fantastic episode, and this season as a whole, it's actually going really, really well. I think I wasn't sure I'd be enjoying it this much. I mean, part of me felt like, at least the first half of the season is going to be some kind of cheesy sci-fi flick type thing with some good moments here and there. But so far, it's going really, really well, and it's actually drawing me in a lot more than I thought it would be. But I'm getting hooked. I'm getting hooked. I mean, officially speaking, I'd say I'm already hooked. But just to be modest, I'd say I'm still in the process of getting hooked. But each week, I am looking forward to actually watching more and more of this show and more of this series, and progressing further into the series and seeing how everything unfolds. But yeah, that was the Chitauri stuff. The helmet itself was sent to the Sandbox, which is the S.H.I.E.L.D. lab place, or one of them, or at least the biggest one, where all technological stuff like the helmet gets sent for research and development and whatnot. So they got the Sandbox for research, the fridge for storage, and the slingshot for incineration or destruction in some sense. So they got a lot of places. We also found out that Coulson had been requesting, or he'd been secretly requesting his own medical tests and reports. He'd been contacting the S.H.I.E.L.D. doctors and asking to perform medical tests to make sure everything was shipshape, because he doesn't feel the same. He feels different after his resurrection at the hands of S.H.I.E.L.D. He knows his death was an abnormal one, in the sense that he knows he was dead. He wasn't in our plane of existence anymore. He was gone officially and clinically, and then he was brought back by some means that no one really tells him properly. I don't know if it's the fact that he hasn't been told properly, or the fact that he hasn't been told at all, but he knows that whatever they did to bring him back, they're definitely trying hard to keep it under wraps, and you know, he wants to know, but at the same time, it's like he's, you know, he like, for the most part right now, he just knows that he feels different. He doesn't feel like the same Coulson that died. He doesn't, you know, he doesn't know what's going on anymore. So, you know, like, he's still got the scar from when Loki killed him, and, you know, May kind of reassured him that, you know, like, you're right, this is different, and you can never turn back from having been killed or resurrected, but all you can do now is move forward with this knowledge and try and, you know, try and use it for your, like, for good. Try and use that resurrection, try and use that second chance at life for good. And obviously, with this new team of agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., that is the show. I think that is what this first season, at the very least, is going to be like. It is going to partially be about, like, or mainly going to be about, like, it's going to be, you know, what Coulson does with his second chance, and, you know, just overall just increasing Coulson up to be a big character, like, because they built him up in the movies from Iron Man 1 to the Avengers, and then now he gets his own little side project that gets almost as big as the movies, and, like, I think, to my knowledge, this is this is the strongest connected show to the MCU. Like, the other one, like the Netflix ones, like, they make references and stuff like that, but it's never directly cross-mentioned, and those are more street-level heroes. With the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Avengers themselves, organization-wise, they're more connected, so it makes more sense for this to be that much more connected to the movies as well. Episode 6 was a great episode, a fantastic episode. A lot of you guys enjoyed it as well, and, you know, mentioned that, you know, like, some of you guys had watched it like 6 or 7 times, and it was that good. So, you know, I think maybe at some point, maybe once I finish this show, if an end is coming, I think, final season is coming. I heard. So once I reach that point, I don't know, maybe in my own time, I'll do another binge of it if I ever find the time. But for now, onwards with the next one. So episode 7, The Hub. Let's go. Oh, are they actually extracting his brain? Are they extracting his brain? Or, no, not his brain. That would be very, very extensive. Just a piece of technology inside of him. Oh, whoa. He had that in his head?
That's all the intel you recovered?
How did he get it up there?
I certainly hope so.
No need to get started on one of your socialist riffs.
Yeah, S.H.I.E.L.D.'s whole infrastructure is based on the hierarchy and compartmentalization of intelligence.
Every agent can't have the intel on every mission.
Yeah, that makes sense. Confidentiality and what.
Okay, fine. If I just fought my way out of an underground Siberian prison, I'd kind of want to know what for.
Coulson's got you used to the
You'd want to know, but it doesn't mean you should know.
Oh, this is nothing. Wait until you see the Triskelion.
Oh yeah, that's a big place. That's a big place.
Agent Sitwell.
Agent Coulson.
Agent Sitwell. Mr. Hydra. I don't trust him and I don't like him.
Only her reputation.
I know how you die, Sitwell.
Can join us in the briefing.
I need someone on the team who can identify and dismantle it on site.
Who would that be then?
The cart's stuck. That's unbelievable. What the hell? Who designed this?
Yeah, he can dismantle a weapon. He can dismantle a supersonic weapon. Oh,
Seriously.
yeah, Fitz will be great for the job. Fitz will be great for the job. Oh. You'll be good. You'll be fine. I have faith in him. I've got faith in Fitz. You know, trying to open a moving door aside. I've got faith in him.
So she's in the vacuum chamber, but when she takes her mask,
I feel like Fitz would be a good road trip partner. You know, always has a story to tell.
all over the Faraday cup.
Ward, not so
Which is
much.
funny.
You is dead.
Well, that's inconvenient. This is very inconvenient.
You have no friends here.
Seems Fury has a soft spot for his favorites. Not everyone gets sent to Tahiti.
It's a magical place.
Tahiti?
All I meant was
He was
that
sent to
most of them got
Tahiti?
be back in the big leagues.
If I'm right, give me a signal by not saying anything.
Trust the system.
Oh, he said something. He's a smart man, Coulson. Knows his way around words.
Acting like a. What if they're injured or being tortured somewhere?
Well, you gotta have faith in them at least. You know. Oh, don't put those ideas in her head, Skye.
What exactly do you have
Come
in mind?
on. Oh, was he fixing the power?
out here, Marta?
Of course.
He's fixing the
Mister.
power.
Thank you, sweetheart.
The little bear.
Okay.
Oh, Fitz is the little bear now. Don't drop him. Please don't drop him. Just pick him back up nice and safely. Okay, there we go. Okay. Yeah. The little bear made friends.
Really? And my plan worked. Because we're over the border now, aren't
Oh, so he made the power cut and then fixed the power cut. Huh.
we? We're stopping. Why are we stopping?
Okay.
Yep, very good idea to stay
both
put.
stay here.
Yep, stay put. Very good idea. Ooh, nice. Nice. Yep. There we go. Oh, border patrol. Oh, they must have called ahead, huh?
So far, it's working.
She
for
looks
us.
really peaceful, even in the midst of him talking.
Most of us. No, you're right. Level 8. But
It's all in the eyes. It's all in the eyes. Yeah, she speaks through her
Trust the
the
system.
windows of her soul.
thanks.
That was amazing. That was an amazing scene. That alone was a great scene.
I was just on my way to the loo.
Oh,
I
the
could
most
swear it was
cliched
too
of
hot and all that.
excuses.
Is that it here?
That's a wall panel.
Always looking for the loo.
Don't spiral.
Even if you're in the
Stay
attic.
from
Oh, I was looking for the loo.
anything.
You certainly have a gorgeous head. don't you? I like men that are about my height but heavier than me.
Stop.
Oh,
Talking.
Jesus Christ. Just stop.
Do you have authorization?
Just sit well. I need an escort.
Oh.
Oh my god.
Oh, he went nighty night. She made him go nighty night. He went nighty night. Oh, jeez. Get him a. Actually, no. You know what? He's Hydra. Don't get him a pillow. He doesn't deserve a pillow.
Yeah, you can have half.
What?
What?
The sandwich with buffalo and pesto.
Dogs tracking us, and you bring a prosciutto sandwich.
That's a good point.
This is a mission, not a picnic.
He's
Not a picnic. Mr. Save the Day.
Oh shit. They smelled the sandwich. They sniffed out the sandwich.
If you're hungry, eat this.
What was it, an odorless chocolate bar?
It's odorless.
Oh, it is odorless. Can you get odorless food? Is that a thing?
Protected documents.
Redacted. Oh, she can find her parents' stuff in there. She can find her info on her parents in there. On the redacted. Oh crap, she has just a minute left.
If I could just access the raw files.
St. Agnes Orphanage. Yeah.
Crap, I don't have time.
Oh, just skim it. Just skim through it. Just skim it.
No extraction.
What is it? Wait, there's no extraction?
What did I tell you?
You told me to trust the system.
They're not even planning on getting them out?
There to die.
A prosciutto and buffalo mozzarella sandwich.
Oh, he's gonna hold that grudge
Just
for the
a
rest
hint
of his life.
pesto aioli.
Quiet.
Did you know there was no extraction plan for Ward and Fitz?
That's classified.
Do you know what? I'm gonna say this, Phil. Even I'm getting tired of hearing that word. Seems like a one-stop excuse for just hiding the truth. Like, oh, that's classified. Did you have breakfast this morning? Oh, it's classified.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
No, that's
It's attacking
Ward.
the others.
No, that's Ward
It's coming straight
taking down the
for
two
us.
guards.
Ward.
Yeah.
Hurry. Inside.
That makes
Yeah,
sense
that
now.
makes sense. Yeah. Well, why would a guard attack his own people unless he was an inside man? Which Ward definitely isn't.
You don't need a battalion for an extraction. 3 can pull it off.
4 is better.
Charlie's Angels. Coulson's
You're in?
Angels.
Thought we ought to be level 8 to discuss this.
We're not discussing anything.
We're implementing. We are acting. So wait, they don't have an extraction plan, but they still have like a plan for assaulting the place once the weapon goes down, with zero consideration for. Oh crap! Oh damn! Whoa!
It's the extraction team.
Yeah. Your extraction team.
It's the cavalry.
Uh huh. Yeah. Uh huh. Uh huh. Tell me, have they got weapons on board the bus, or is this just a transport plane? Well, improvised weaponry. That's still pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
I was in good hands.
They took care of each other. I like that. I love that. You know, they bonded themselves over the episode.
I shot a superior officer in the chest.
With the night gun. Night. Just a.
It was about the person who dropped you off at the orphanage. Turns out it was a SHIELD agent.
Wait, what?
A SHIELD agent?
We don't know if she was your mother or if she just found you on a doorstep.
Damn.
Mother.
I put in a request to dig further into the files for any related
Show
material.
sugar.
I told her a SHIELD agent dropped her off at the orphanage.
But you didn't tell her why.
I can't.
Oh god, what more are you hiding, Coulson?
Some secrets are meant to stay secret.
Oh, come on, please, no. I want to find out more.
Will you help me find out what really happened?
But I can try.
Thank you.
Thank you, May. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
Poor girl.
Wait, what?
I'm sorry, but you don't have access to that document, sir.
There must be some mistake. I'm level 8. I have clearance for that file.
The system indicates that you don't. Would you like me to submit a formal request to Director Fury, sir?
Oh, crap, even Fury's keeping it hidden from him.
No. Thank you.
Damn, so what, Fury So Fury must have moved it up a level, being like, yep, just moving up to level 9. Oh, god damn it! Oh, this show just keeps getting better and better. This show just keeps getting better and better. Oh god, I'm so glad I got into this show. I'm so glad. Wow, I'm actually just so giddy now. Since episode since episode 4 at least, or episode 3 or episode 4, it's been getting me hooked. It's been giving me more story, more drama, more amping up the scale of goodness and everything that it has. It's just so good. But yeah, wow, so much to talk about, so much. Chances are my camera's going to stop having enough space by the end of the video, as it always does, but I'll do my best anyway. But yeah, so Agent Shaw was the man on the inside who had the intel literally inside his head. He had intelligence in his head. Just think about how wacky that is in that particular context. Literally a capsule of intelligence in his head. In a non-lethal place that could be sucked out by a wire tube thing through his nose. So that happened. The hub. So I assume the hub is one HQ of S.H.I.E.L.D. because Simmons did mention the Triskelion, because Skye said, "Oh, this place is huge," and then she said, "Oh, you should see the Triskelion." So I'm guessing the hub is one. Is one HQ, and I know that the Triskelion is located in Washington D.C. in the capital. So that I think I would assume even in terms of size and also infrastructure, in terms of the organization's infrastructure, that is the bigger HQ, but also potentially the main HQ. But for the show, they stick with the hub, which is still equally cool. But yeah, so the hub is one HQ, and one thing I also want to kind of talk about is the fact it is S.H.I.E.L.D. S.H.I.E.L.D. is something I really want to talk about, because I think, obviously with the show like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you get to explore more of what S.H.I.E.L.D. really is, and judging from the movies alone, you'd think, oh, it's obviously a government organization, but they're connected to stuff like the Avengers. They're like a superhero. They're like a superhero-esque kind of organization, and they work with the Avengers, and they do work with the Avengers, and they have all of this. They deal with all this extraterrestrial stuff, and they deal with all that stuff, and they work with the Avengers and then with superpowered beings and superhuman beings, stuff like that. Judging from the movies, you would think that, but watching this show, watching this episode alone, and you see that S.H.I.E.L.D. is more than just that. It's because of how much the world around them has changed over the years. they have gotten to the point where they do in fact work with superpowered beings and investigate superpowered beings and investigate those levels of threats and occurrences around the world, but they do not exclusify their workforce and their like work ethic and the the field that they work in to superhero business. They are a government. They're a government. They're a department of the government. They're an organization that deals with worldwide security and information and all that sort of stuff. So they are a government organization that deals with that kind of stuff. And so I think most notably, like they deal with stuff like, you know, like terrorist situations and, you know, like situations in this, like where they, you know, that they found like evidence of like a country somewhere building some kind of super weapon. Or like just like they found leads on like an organization in some country somewhere planning an attack on like a political figure or some kind of event, and then they send in a team to try and eliminate the suspect or eliminate the target or something like that. They are an organization that deals with global terrorism and that kind of stuff, like homeland security. And stuff like that. So they are that kind of organization. I think with this episode and with this show, they have the opportunity to prove more of that. Like when they go deeper, when they ground the episode a little more, and then when they ground the writing itself a lot more, they show that, you know, sure, we are connected to the Avengers and we help them out in every way we can, and we work with them to make sure that the world is a safer place from higher level threats. But then when they need to take the time to, you know, mix in like a little bit more realism with the sci-fi, so it's like, oh, it's your everyday terrorist organization, like it's a more realistic kind of terrorist organization at work, but they are using a super weapon that consists of maybe Chitauri technology or something, and we need to send in the team to extract it and eliminate the targets. That kind of stuff is really cool to see, and it reinforces the fact that, you know, S.H.I.E.L.D., it didn't start off this way, but it evolved and it adapted to the world around it, and it incorporated more technology and more resources and information and intel to suit the way that they work and to enhance the way that they work so they can actually do their job properly. And I think a prime example of this is Captain Marvel, because, you know, in that one, it's like, it's not until Carol comes along and meets Fury. Like, Fury in that one is a veteran S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. He said he's ready to hang up the coat and move on to something else or even retire. But, you know, he meets Carol, and then he realizes that the world is a lot more like the world around him and the universe around him is a lot more complicated than just sitting around doing paperwork and stopping terrorists and, you know, keeping the country safe and all that stuff. Is a lot more complicated, and then because of that, he comes up with stuff like the Avengers Initiative, and, you know, realizes that, you know, like you know, there are other threats out there that S.H.I.E.L.D. alone can't handle. That kind of stuff, like those events, it allowed S.H.I.E.L.D. to evolve and allowed them to understand more about how the universe around them really works, and that they're not alone, but that can be a good thing and a bad thing. Like, they can have more enhanced allies, but they can also have more enhanced enemies. So that kind of thing I think is really, really cool, that I really enjoyed seeing. So yeah. But that one, that was really interesting to see. And the South Ossetia weapon, so that was a sonic weapon, the overkill weapon that the South Ossetians were using to kind of gain independence and whatnot, so that was cool. What else? Coulson. My guy Coulson was sent to Tahiti during recovery. So I mean, with this show, there are lines spoken, there are words alone spoken that always have a double meaning or a triple meaning, and, you know, they're often code words and stuff. Like, you know, if you hear a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent talking about a sandbox, he likely isn't talking about taking his kid to the park or to the beach or anything like that. You know, he's likely talking about taking some kind of experimental tech to a research facility. If you hear him talking about the fridge, he's probably not talking about, you know, hurrying back home with his groceries so the milk doesn't go off. He is talking about an actual storage facility and all that sort of stuff. So obviously with Tahiti, it got me thinking, like, what if Tahiti is just another place with a fancy code name that S.H.I.E.L.D. has? And, you know, so we have one for storage. We have one for like for storage. We got the fridge. We got one for destruction. We got the slingshot. And obviously research and development, we got the sandbox. So Tahiti, Coulson said he was sent there during recovery and that it was a magical place. I don't know. I don't really know what to infer from the magical place thing. Well, I kind of do, but Tahiti, I'm thinking maybe it's a medical facility. So obviously, with all of these new rises in new threats that they handle, and new intel, and new all these new resources that are coming in, all this new information about how the universe around them really works, they have to up their game. They have to make sure that they have a department and a protocol and a team ready to handle anything and everything in order to keep the public safe from what they might not understand, or what might scare them, or what might even harm them if it goes public. But also for their own employees, for the people working for them, if they get harmed or killed in the field of battle. I think the way they're going about this, I feel like Coulson might be the only one who's gone through it, or at least he might be the first one to go through it, if this is like a really, really new thing. But yeah, like with Tahiti, I feel like it's a medical facility used to treat the utmost of urgent medical cases, like again death as a whole. Like maybe Tahiti is like an experimental place where they're trying out kind of resurrection technology or something. They've come up with some new technology where it's like, okay, what if we can find a way to bring a person back to life? Like maybe they're on the border, maybe they haven't been dead long enough. Like, because I mean, there's that whole thing where if you die, your brain or something is still active for 7 minutes. So maybe within that 7 minutes, if they do like some kind of technological procedure or medical procedure with the resources they have, they can actually still bring you back. Or maybe if you're just on the borderline, maybe you're clinically dead, maybe you're on the borderline, you're drifting between there, they can actually still pull you back and away from the light. So maybe this is like a new place they've come up with, and conveniently enough, Coulson was the first one to kick the bucket or be killed off. So then Fury was the one who sent him there, so maybe Fury was like, okay, I know this is experimental, but we still got to try something because I don't want to lose one of my best men, so get him to Tahiti, get him resurrected, and get him back here, do whatever you can. So yeah, I feel like that could be what Tahiti is, like a medical facility, but with enhanced tech. So whatever tech they found maybe from the Battle of New York, because the Chitauri themselves are enhanced aliens, and they probably have healing factors or something, but they use something from what they found, or even alien stuff before that. Like they found the Tesseract, they experimented with that a bit. In Captain Marvel, they found the Skrulls. Maybe did they experiment with that? But something they created something maybe, and decided okay, some of the stuff we've been using for weapons, some of the stuff we've been using to develop to improve the weapons we already have. How about we use some of the stuff to actually create medical resources and see if we can use that to enhance the procedures we already have. So again, Coulson could have been the first. But yeah, that is my guess. Tahiti is a medical facility that uses enhanced tech through alien or otherwise kind of technology, like extraterrestrial technology as a whole, to enhance medical procedures, to maybe even the point of resurrection, maybe even that. I don't know, I feel like it's a stretch, but given the way things are going, I feel like my mind is somewhat on the right track. But yeah, I don't know, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but it's still really cool to theorize about this stuff. So yeah, so that is my guess. Tahiti is a medical facility where Coulson was resurrected. And again, if they did use that, if they did use extraterrestrial elements to try and bring him back to life, or just some enhanced method, maybe they wiped his mind as well, to the point where he knows he was brought back to life, he knows he died, and he knows that happened, and then he was brought back to life, but he doesn't know how or what they use, or maybe they just replaced his memory, so they just took away what he actually might think about and then replaced it with something else. But with Coulson, he's got a strong mind, so he's actually breaking through. He's questioning what the truth is. He's questioning everything Shield's telling him. He's analyzing his gut feelings. His gut tells him that, something's off, something's wrong, something's different. You weren't brought back with any conventional methods of medical technology, so, something's off. You need to find out what and, how it actually affects you as a living being. So maybe they implanted some other memories in there, but he's still breaking those barriers down and stuff like that. But I don't know. But yeah, Tahiti being a medical facility, that is my guess. That is my guess. But yeah, that's that. We had the redacted info on Skye's parents with the Shield database, which is now extended with with Coulson's info at the end of the episode. The S.H.I.E.L.D. agent having found Skye. So, the S.H.I.E.L.D. agent was a woman, and they don't know if it was her mother or if it was just like a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent who found her on a doorstep. But at the end, they said that they actually know the reason, but they're just not telling her. So for now, I mean, with this, they're just teasing us as the audience. They're teasing us as the audience. They're just like, you know, and that's a lovely writing mechanic, I think, as well. It keeps us on the edge of our seats just as much as Skye is. Like the idea that we find out everything at the same time and in the same way that she finds out, so it keeps us going, like, keeps the story going on at a nice pace, and it makes sure that we're like in touch and in time with everything that's happening, and like we don't find out anything ahead of time. They don't give us any secret kind of clues or anything like that. Like they hint towards stuff, like, you know, like the end with May saying, but you didn't tell her why she was sent to the orphanage, or like why like the stuff happened with the S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. So that kind of stuff we've yet to find out, but they are kind of doing a good job of actually keeping us on our toes and teasing us and like actually making us think like, what is the truth here. So I love that to bits. But yeah, so that, I mean, I think, well, they obviously do know why, but I mean, the document that they had on Coulson's desk, I assume that was the one with the redacted thing. And when the camera panned down, it showed a dead body on the ground with a head laying in a pool of blood. So I don't know if that was the S.H.I.E.L.D. agent that found her, or if that was something to do with something else. I don't know. I mean, because I mean, at first Coulson said, you know, they don't know if it was her mother or just a random S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, and then in the end they said like he knows why the S.H.I.E.L.D. agent took her to the orphanage. So I mean, potential mother, I guess, is still in the books. But yeah, so Skye does have a deeper history with S.H.I.E.L.D. She does have another history with S.H.I.E.L.D. and I think I can't remember, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, I can't remember like whether or not S.H.I.E.L.D. actually had tabs on Skye. I think they found her because of her Rising Tide connections and because of like her work with like with Mike as well at the beginning of the series, I think. But I don't know if they actually, I mean, or maybe this would mean that they actually kept tabs on her, but then they didn't really interact until she actually started doing some risky stuff with the Rising Tide. Yeah, because if a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent handed her in and had that information logged in, then it would mean that they were able to keep tabs on her. Maybe the S.H.I.E.L.D. agent knew her personally, or maybe knew her mother. If the S.H.I.E.L.D. agent wasn't her mother, maybe the S.H.I.E.L.D. agent knew Skye as family, and maybe Skye's family is family, so maybe she wanted to keep tabs on her, but didn't really want her to find out the truth until much later, or unless she had an opportunity to tell her herself, or maybe it was a case of like, you know, keep tabs on her, but, you know, just keep her away from this stuff. I want her to have a normal life. I want her to be safe and stuff. I don't want her to get mixed up in S.H.I.E.L.D. Unless she comes across them of her own natural path and decides to work with them. But then again, like that's like up to her. Yeah, so then maybe the S.H.I.E.L.D. agent herself like wanted that record logged in so that she could keep tabs on her, like, you know, like make sure S.H.I.E.L.D. knows that, okay, there's a young girl called Skye, this stuff happened, or like whatever happened, and, you know, I've given her over to St. Agnes Orphanage now. So yeah, so more info yet to be found about that, but Skye does have a history with S.H.I.E.L.D. and another history with S.H.I.E.L.D. So that changes a lot for her, because it means that, you know, whoever it was potentially knew her, potentially. So it could have been her mother, it could have been a friend of the family, it could have been anyone. But whoever it was knew her, and if they, I mean, I feel like the way she's gonna go is to find out who it was, if she's still alive, and then track her down to try and find out what happened and why she found her, or how she found her, and stuff like that. But it's gonna be interesting seeing all that stuff unfold. So that is more drama with all of that stuff. Fitz and Ward, they had a very, very interesting time this episode, I feel like. You know, they I think with Fitz and Ward, the most obvious dynamic between them is the whole brains and brawn thing. Like, obviously, one of them is like Fitz is the geeky one that knows all about like the technology and the science behind the operation, and Ward is the brawn. He's the big muscle man. He's the one who charges through the doors and delivers the punches and the kicks and all that stuff. And even Fitz pointed out, like, you know, you're the one who swoops in and saves the day, saves the girl, the one who plays hero with the knight in shining armor complex and everything like that. But I think something I've noticed, like I mean, it was back in episode 2 that they even like kind of like back in episode 2, like the thing that they had ingrained in my mind was Skye's kind of ideology that, you know, it's not just that like a team isn't just about one person doing all the effort, or like, you know, of like different people having different qualities, but it's about different like the team is about, you know, everyone contributing their own idea and their own quality to make sure that the whole idea actually works. Like, you know, everyone doing their own little, like even if it's a small piece, like everyone doing their own little bit to make sure that the rest of the team can succeed in their operation and their mission. And with a team like this, obviously you can identify the brain from the brawn and the outcast like Skye. And, you know, like there is somewhat of a complex, I personally feel, wherein you know, it's like Fitz and Ward, like, you know, like I think there is somewhat of a complex where, you know, Fitz is obviously the brainy one. He, you know, he does have a tendency to go full on nerd with his language and with his like with the kind of wording he uses, whereas Ward is the one who, you know, he uses the weapons that they develop and he delivers the punch, and, you know, he does all of that kind of high action combat kind of stuff, and that kind of complex that, you know, one of them is the brains and one of them is the brawn, and they don't really get along well because of who they are and how they work. But at the end of the day, it's like they are still a team. They recognize each other's qualities and they respect each other's qualities, and they get along well because they know how to do their job. Like, that kind of stuff is what I love about this show, and it was something I was afraid it wouldn't be able to pull off, in the sense that, you know, Ward would always see Fitz as there's the brainy one or the geeky one, or like you know, like the one who doesn't know how to handle himself in the field if he does run into trouble, and like maybe Fitz would see Ward as the one who doesn't really appreciate the science behind the tech, or maybe he doesn't appreciate the brains behind the operation, or like, you know, like he sees it as somewhat weaker or something like that. He seems as like, you know, like Fitz himself, like you see even by looking at them, like not to judge books too much by their cover, but you can tell just by looking at them, you know, like Ward is the one who handles the action, the fighting, and like that kind of, like, you know, the hard hitting stuff, quite literally. And Fitz is the one who, you know, he sorts out the tech, he delivers, you know, if he has the night gun on him, then he'll be really useful, and, you know, he handles the tech, he sets off the EMPs or whatever. Like, that kind of complex, I was afraid it wouldn't be able to pull off well, in the sense that it would be kind of stereotypical or like kind of cliched. But again, that's what Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has actually done really well, like making you care about these characters and making the characters care about each other, regardless of what their background is, regardless of where their expertise lies. Like, you know, the team has a bit of everything, pretty much. It has leadership, it has the newcomer, it has the brains and the brawn, and they all blended together. They all like and they respect one another, like they respect one another, and they acknowledge each other's kind of qualities and where their skills lie best. Like, you know, like they all need each other. Like, you know, like if Fitz and Simmons did like develop a new weapon, they need Ward to be able to test it out to make sure it works and that they can use it, like, against their opponents. You know, like the team needs Fitz and Simmons to analyze any like any of the sciencey aspects of any new missions that pop up, like, you know, analyzing weapons and substances and all that kind of stuff. Like, they all respect one another and they all know where their qualities lie. And even with even with this episode, like, it really showed off that, you know, Fitz and Ward, like, you know, as much as they butt heads sometimes because of how they are and because of who they are, they've still got each other's backs. Like, not just because of the promise that Coulson made them make to each other, but also because they know that, you know, in that particular scenario as well, they've only got each other and they need to have each other's backs. They need to work together, and again, they respect each other. So, you know, it's like they understand each other. They know where they're coming from. They know where their work lies best, and it's like as well as that, they make a really good comedic duo as well. Like, you know, Fitz is the one who's always more lighthearted and likes to make a joke to kind of ease the tension, whereas Ward is always the more kind of stoic and like he's the straightforward one that, you know, gets down to business and gets forward to the point and handles the drama and all of that stuff. So that kind of dynamic really clashes well, I think. And you know, I think it also goes to show like how good the actors themselves are. Like Ian and Brett Dalton, like they actually know what these characters are like and how that kind of chemistry bounces off each other. And how these characters actually would interact with their respective fields of expertise and all that stuff. And yeah, especially with Fitz as well, he has that thing where, like, you know, like even in the last episode, he was gonna jump out. He, like, you know, he had trouble getting the parachute on, but he was willing to jump out. He's ready to do it. And then all of a sudden, like, Fitz does a Ward does a superhero landing on the platform, and then he just grabs the taser and the parachute, and he just jumps after Simmons himself. Like, granted, like you know, obviously we know as an audience that Ward was the one better capable of actually doing that. Like, you know, like he's a field agent. He's done stunts and stuff before. He knows how to handle his body. He knows how to handle himself. Whereas Fitz would have like you know, he wanted to jump, not knowing how to jump or how to get after Emma, but he would like to after Gemma, but he jumped wanting to save her no matter what the cost was. Whereas Ward was actually prepared to do it, and he knew how to skydive, and how to catch up to her and stuff. But even with that, it then reinforces that idea of Ward into Fitz's head that, you know, he's the one who swoops in and saves the day, and he's the guy that handles all the action, and he's the hero and all of that stuff. Whereas he's just like he's just a coward who can't really fight for himself. He doesn't handle himself. But again, at the end of the day, like, Ward knows him better than that. He knows that Fitz isn't just a coward. He knows Fitz can handle himself, and that he can, you know, offer his own qualities in the field. Like, even in the field, like, Fitz can still, like, offer his own qualities. He can use the weapon against the enemies. He can, you know, conjure up different like methods of tech attacks and whatnot. But, you know, at the end of the day, they've got their own qualities. They respect each other because of it. They know how to handle each other and how to handle themselves, and they get along because they're a team. Like, regardless of who they are or where they come from or like what they specialize in, they are a team, and a team, like, can't really use, like, to be effective. I think what Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. shows us is that to be effective, a team can't really have too many of the same qualities, because then it's just like it's unbalanced, and they don't really have enough of like other people to handle different situations. So yeah, like, this team has a bit of everything that's necessary. So yeah, that stuff was really cool, and to just to see at the end of the day Ward and Fitz just giving that little nod to each other and just knowing, like, you know, I got your back, you got mine. You know, we're a team. We're in this together. So that was really, really cool to see, and looking forward to more team ups between pretty much everyone on the group. So yeah, that was that. And another thing, or probably the final thing I want to talk about, is the security clearance thing, the security clearance controversy. So obviously with this, there is the whole kind of level 5, 4, and like 6 and 7 and 8 kind of thing. Like, obviously, like the reason they have that is to make sure that, you know, people, like, only people of like the right level of authority have access to confidential and sensitive information, and that makes sense. To me, I support that. I like that. Makes sense. Like, you know, in an organization that deals with information as heavily and as sensitively as S.H.I.E.L.D. does, and especially when it's like information regarding members of the public and members of like terrorist organizations, and just information about like people as a whole. They can't really afford to let just anyone look at that stuff, and especially if obviously, like, you know, we've seen Cap 2 Winter Soldier, Jasper Sitwell was in this. Like, you know, we all know probably not back then, but, you know, now we know, like back when the episode aired, probably not, but now we know Jasper Sitwell, he was Hydra, he was secretly Hydra, and there were other Hydra members in there, like the Strike Team, Rumlow, and the other KGB beast dude from Dawn of Justice and whatnot. Like, they had, like Hydra was in S.H.I.E.L.D. the entire time, and they planted their seeds, and they had they had members of Shield in high authority places, so like they had access to pretty much all the information, no matter who was on what level, and that made them dangerous. Like they nearly eliminated like everyone who was a threat to them, like everyone who was a hero, and like the Avengers and all of that stuff. So with this, it makes sense that even for like just the good guys, like they would still need clearance levels just to make sure that only people who are actually ready to handle the information, only the people who have the right way to deal with handling the information, like only those people can handle it. Because if you give someone like in level 2 clearance, like level 8 information, they might not know what to do with it. They might tell anyone they can find. There's no telling what can really happen. And it makes sure that, you know, like again, like with stuff like the extraction team thing, like with Fitz and Ward's mission, like that mission had no extraction team. So someone in a lower level finding out about that, like it's also about personal belief as well. Like with Skye, she found out that information, and then Coulson did as well. But you know, like they both knew that, you know, Fitz and Ward would need an extraction team after Shield begins its assault. So, you know, like them not having it would also raise the question for someone else of like, why doesn't this team have an extraction team? Like why are we not getting these men out? Like they need to get out with the weapon, and, you know, like they need to be extracted and saved from whatever carnage is going to ensue. But it's also just a case of, like, you know, people, if like the wrong people know that it's a suicide mission, they might try and prevent it. They might try and like sabotage it in some way because they know that the men going in are not going to be coming out. And I think, you know, like Agent Victoria Hand, I think her name was. You know, even like she mentioned the point of, like, you know, Barton and Romanoff, like Hawkeye and Black Widow, actually going in without extraction teams, and knowing that they don't have extraction teams. I think that's like, you know, that is that is a very different situation because you know, Barton and Romanoff, they are trained spies, they are trained killers, they know how to handle themselves. Like Ward and Fitz, like Ward, we I don't really think we've ever seen him kill someone. We've seen him knock people out and disarm them and stuff like that, but we've never actually seen Ward kill them. Fitz, he doesn't have it in him to kill anyone. He's not a killer. He hasn't been combat trained in any way. He doesn't like know how to like fire a gun. And like an actual killing gun, let alone actually, you know, like snap someone's neck in half. But Barton and Romanoff, like Natasha, she was actually with the KGB and stuff. Like, she was trained to kill people from a young age in the Red Room. And Hawkeye himself, he's been trained to kill as well, and he was sent to kill Romanoff before he recruited her. So those two are very, very different examples. I think they're like bad examples that she pulled out because they don't need an extraction team. Like Barton and Romanoff, they will kill their way out of the environment if they have to. They are not afraid to build up bodies if that's what's necessary. Like Ward and Fitz, if they get surrounded, if they get caught up in the carnage, they don't really have the option of actually killing people. Like if he has to, I feel like Ward might make the rash decision of actually killing someone, but even then, it's not something he'd want to do. Whereas Barton and Romanoff, again, they have no problem, so they don't really need an extraction team. They're don't really bothered about it that much. So, you know, I feel like that was just kind of like a bad example. But with the security clearance thing, I think it's just like a case of like that really makes sense to me. And I think Skye was acting more like, you know, or like, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, she was worried about Ward and Fitz, and she was worried that they wouldn't make it back in time. But I think, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't really think it struck her until she found out that the redacted files were on that level 8 server, and then she got like pulled back into her own kind of need for like her own need for that information, which like kind of outweighed like her helping Shield. Like she wants to, like, she's been looking for that information since she was a kid. Like she's been wanting to find out what happened to her parents or who her parents were since she was a kid, and now she actually knows where that information is. She located it, she kind of skimmed through it, that kind of stuff. She's not going to really let it go. She's not going to really kind of just push it aside. She's at least going to try and take a look at it. So it makes sense why she'd be so much more adamant to actually find out what's happening. But like in the beginning, it was more of a case of her actually just worrying about Fitz and Ward and not wanting to lose them, and actually finding out what's actually happening with this mission. What are they doing? What's the extraction time ready for, and all that kind of stuff. And then she finds out all this other information. So on the one hand, it's understandable why she did it, but it's also there's a good point from Coulson as well. Shield keeps information from people for a reason. It could be for safety, it could be for it could be for sensitivity's sake, or just the protection of the people the information is about. It's for a multitude of reasons, but Shield always keeps information secret from people with good reason, and especially keeping information from the public, the information they have would make the public question everything. Shield is basically holding information that Area 51 could be handling about the existence of aliens, and I mean the public already knows about that with the Battle of New York, but still there's likely a lot of other stuff they have up their sleeve that the public has no clue on. So that kind of stuff they need to keep within the four walls of Shield, or however many walls they have, I don't know. But yeah, I think Coulson, as an official agent of Shield, I think Coulson was acting more on the actual protocols and laws and rules that Shield has to follow as a government organization, whereas Skye was acting more on emotion, wanting to know what's happened to her friends and wanting to know what's happening with the mission and whether they're gonna make it out okay and all of that stuff. So I think it shows that they're very different people. Like Skye, and again, for another thing, Skye, having worked with the Rising Tide, Skye has always been about the freedom of information, people knowing what they deserve to know and not hiding stuff from people, and people actually knowing what's going on in the world around them. Whereas with Coulson, he works with he's been working for many years with an organization that actually works to protect the public and the people around them by keeping information secret from them. So he knows how that kind of protocol stuff and that kind of security clearance stuff works. Whereas with Skye, it was more an emotional reflex in her, just kind of wanting to know it, in spite of other people trying to keep that stuff from her. So it's an interesting kind of conflict. But I think I do get Coulson's side more, because for security's sake, that information has to be kept confidential. It has to be kept safe. It has to be kept secret, and you can't just give that information out to anyone and everyone. That information itself might be controversial. It might be information about sending someone in on a potential suicide mission, and then giving that information to the wrong person could mean that they try and sabotage it or something worse. But it makes sense. It makes sense from an organizational and legal kind of standpoint as well. So yeah, that is pretty much all I have from this one. Again, another great episode. Definitely I'm amping up the drama and just introducing us to more of what the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. really means and what it is and what S.H.I.E.L.D. is. So yeah, good to see Agent Sitwell again as well. Yeah, I think that I immediately clocked him as Mr. Hydra from the moment he stepped on screen. So yeah, that was fun. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have from this one. So that was Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 1, Episode 7, titled The Hub. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, then salt and burn that like button. Comment on what you thought of the episode and what you think is coming up next for our Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And yeah, that's it. So I will see you guys next time.